Hello and welcome to my humble kitchen. Today I'm going to explain how to make spaghetti sauce from scratch. That means raw ingredients. And if you're new to cooking, I will explain everything very carefully, so you should learn a lot. Even if you've been cooking for decades, you might learn something too, so please watch. Now, step 1, clean the floor. Sometimes little pieces try to escape, so with a nice clean floor you can just quickly put them back into the pan. Here's my ingredients. I like to keep it pretty simple. And of course you're going to need some oregano, and I like basil, salt, a little bit of sugar. Most likely you want to put some pepper in there. 2 cans of tomatoes is quite enough, I find, for 4 decent servings. And you're going to need a nice sharp knife. Now, a lot of people are worried about the smell of onions, and I'm going to show you how I do it, which I think is the best way. Take off both the tops, top and the bottom. Go into the center and remove the brown skin. Now also here, if you see something green like this isn't really ready, so take that off too. And this. And same thing over here. Now once you've got them like this, slice and keep them together. That's going to let as little amount of onion into the air. With a nice sharp knife, you can do this very easily. Then once again, you want nice small size bites in your sauce. And start cooking. Now, a lot of people use too much heat when they cook almost anything, and you don't want that. Hopefully you're using gas. That's by far the best way to cook, I've found. And you want the flame just right in the middle. Let your fry pan get nice and hot before you put anything in it, including the oil. And today I'm just going to use extra virgin olive oil, which I recommend for all spaghetti sauces. You want to quickly break them up. Oh, let's turn on the fan. Quickly break them up so that each one comes in contact with the oil on the bottom of the pan. Don't want any of them sticking to each other. Each one is a separate entity. So do not stop until they're all separated. And one thing you're going to want to learn how to do, if you don't already know, is the pan flip. Very important stirring technique. Practice. Pan flip is your friend. thing I usually do is leave a little hole in the middle because there's no heat coming directly from the middle. And I can tell by the sound that this is actually a little too hot. I'm just going to take it down a bit. There. Now, you're going to want to cook your onions for at least 5 minutes with nothing else in the pan. And every minute or so, give them a flip. Here's another little tip too. When you knock food off your spatula, lift the pan off the stove. Otherwise, oh, so loud. So after about 5 minutes, your onions are basically ready. I turn them down to the lowest heat and get busy with the celery. One thing that's really important is the cooking order, the order in which we put things into the pan. And the way I do it is celery comes next. Now, we don't use the leaves in this sauce. So bye-bye leaves. And as you can see, some of it is still a little unappetizing looking. So here's a little secret that may help you. Just use a peeler and take off those parts. Very easy on the outside. And this also takes some of the long strands of fiber out that most people don't like. But the way I cut these, the fiber is a non-issue. So here's what I recommend for this dish. Come along the side like this. And then right down the top. The middle. So now you got 4 even pieces. Here you can see a little bit of browning too, so just take that out. Now, just come through them all. So these are the average bite sizes of, oh, see, look, they tried to escape. Average bite sizes of celery in your dish. So once your celery is all ready, turn the onions back on. And I just want to show you something here. When you're cooking the onions, some of them will move up onto the pan. That's because they are not actually onions. They are the skin. So you want to take those out. Nice little golden brown to your onions. Now here's the way I add the celery. Make a big space. A little bit of extra olive oil. The celery goes right in the middle. So just like the onions, you want to get each piece of celery touching the bottom of the pan. Hopefully they're each going to get some oil. And push them down and push your onions out of the way. Each time you do a pan flip, you may find a few more onions that don't want to be included. So take them out each time. Now that the celery is basically ready, I can turn it off and start ingredient number 3, the garlic. I'm planning this meal to be a serving for 4 people, so 4 cloves of garlic is about right. And there should be quite a bit left over, actually. This is usually about 6 servings for us. So here's how I cut garlic. Take off the end, the peel that comes with it. And each one of them gets pressed a little bit. Once you do that, the rest of the peel comes off just like that. Now, a lot of people like to use a garlic press, but I don't. I suggest a smaller knife, and here's what I do. Just go in, leaving the garlic still intact, but make slices, and come along this way. Then you have nice chunks that will get much smaller, but they'll still retain their own shape, and all their flavor will get transferred to the rest of the sauce. Rinse the fingers. And get the pan ready again. Fresh bit of olive oil in the middle. In they go. So you want to be really careful with garlic. You don't use too much heat. Garlic burns at a much lower temperature than onions and celery and most other vegetables. And just like the onions and celery, give each one their own space in the oil on the pan. So after about 4 minutes, the garlic is caramelizing, nice and light brown, looking great. Time for ingredient number 4. Ground beef. Now you're going to push the beef down into the garlic, pushing the garlic up into the beef. You can see the beef browning a little. It's only been in there 30 seconds. Flame's looking like this. Okay, still quite low. After about 1 minute, you can start flipping it. And make a little hole, little donut hole. and everything else goes in the middle. Now, we're ready for ingredient number 5. Again, right into the middle. Two cans of tomatoes. And quickly make a bigger hole. Get all the tomatoes down, touching the bottom of the pan. Now, you want to get all of your tomatoes boiling, so turn it up a little bit at this point. Flames looking like this. You want to get all the tomatoes up to boiling temperature quickly. Making sure nothing's sticking to the bottom and getting burnt. Now, once things are boiling like this, turn it down once again. Just a little notch up. So your flame's looking like this. And now, for the next hour, all you do is stir this every 5 minutes or so. And you want the water from the tomatoes to boil off. Now it's at this point that I add my first spices. About this much salt. And about that much sugar. The sugar helps cut the citric acid in the tomatoes. Oregano. Why not? Basil, same amount. And magic garlic salt. Stir this in right away. Essentially, you want the same amount of spice in every bite. Now at this point, a lot of people would add ingredient number 6, which is the green peppers. But don't! These poor little things will get pulverized and turn brown and lose all their flavor and texture. So they're the last thing that go in. You fry them separately just as the water's boiling. But now I'm going to show you how I like to cut green peppers. I think it's the most efficient way. Start at the top, right about here. Slice through that. And tap out your seeds. Same with the top. It's really only the seeds and the white part that you don't want to eat. That's all of that. cut them here. Go along the white part. And that's what you throw out. So for my sauce, I like green pepper about like this. Here's the sauce after 15 minutes. Looking really good. Nothing sticking to the bottom. Just a light stir like this every 5 minutes. There's the sauce after half an hour. Looking really good. Most of the water's gone. But you still want to keep it cooking maybe another 15 minutes until you don't see any raw looking chunks of tomato like this. Now that most of the water's gone, you can also put a lid on it, and that helps thoroughly cook all the tomatoes. 45 minutes, looking real good, and you can start thinking about boiling your water and sauteing your green peppers. But first, you can start thinking about flavor. Here you go. Open wide. Very nice, yeah. Could use a little more salt. The pepper will come. A little more garlic. I have a plan. So the water's on, and salt it. Another thing I do at this point is a little bit of oil. More on that later. And the fry pan is quite hot, ready to go. So, about that much butter. You want low temperature. You do not want to burn the butter or the green peppers. So get them in there. Same as always. Spread them around. Each one needs some butter and the heat. After 5 minutes, they're looking like this. Add your pepper. Okay, everybody in? So, here's a little trick with the noodles. One person, about that much, a-okay. So, what you want to do is twist them like so, drop them in the center, and then they spread out just like that. Tap them down, get them all in there, and start stirring right away. Set your clock for 7 minutes. Alright, the noodles are done. So, here's what you do. And this is very important. Very important. Got my strainer here. Pour most of the water off before any of the noodles. Okay, then the rest of them. And hot water in the same pot. Give these guys a rinse. Drain your pot. You want all the water off these guys. Tissue in the pot. Olive oil in the pot. Just a little. Depending on how much noodles. Noodles in the pot. Olive oil. This is especially important if you cook a lot of noodles, like extra noodles. Now that I've done this, these will be fine for tomorrow in a Tupperware container. Okay? And if you're cooking for 4, you want to let each person get their own noodles, definitely do that. But I'm cooking for 1 right now. Itadakimasu. Bit of Parmesan. Pepper to taste. What else would pepper be for but to taste? All right, here we go. Yeah. The crispy celery. You can feel and taste the green peppers. Fantastic. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoyed this pasta that you make. So thank you, and bye-bye. Bye now. Bye-bye.